Did you know that up to 50% of dementia cases are misdiagnosed? That's right. Half of all people with dementia might not be getting the specific care they need. This shocking statistic highlights just how crucial it is for caregivers to understand the different types of dementia. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to avoid being part of that statistic. You'll learn the key signs that set each type of dementia apart, and I promise, by the end of this video, you'll feel more confident in your ability to recognize these differences. Your loved one's quality of life could depend on it. Let's say your loved one starts forgetting names, gets confused about simple things, and struggles with everyday tasks they used to breeze through. Your first thought might be, is this Alzheimer's? But truth is, it might not be. And that's where things get tricky. Distinguishing between different types of dementia is like solving a complex puzzle. The symptoms often overlap, making it incredibly challenging for caregivers and even some healthcare professionals to pinpoint the exact type. It's about memory loss, yes, but also a whole range of cognitive changes that can look very similar across various forms of dementia. This complexity leads to frequent misdiagnosis, which can have severe consequences. Each type of dementia requires a tailored approach to care and treatment. What works for Alzheimer's might not work, and could even be harmful for other types of dementia. Getting it right can mean the difference between rapid decline and maintaining quality of life for much longer. So, how can you start differentiating between these types? Well, I've got a key tip that might surprise you. It's all about memory patterns. Yes, memory loss is common in most dementias, but how that memory loss presents itself can be quite different. In Alzheimer's, for instance, recent memories tend to go first, while older memories stick around longer. But in frontotemporal dementia, memory might be relatively preserved early on, with personality changes being more prominent. And in Lewy body dementia, memory can fluctuate dramatically from day to day. Understanding these patterns can really help in recognizing what type of dementia you might be dealing with. But remember, memory isn't the only clue we have. In fact, physical symptoms can tell a whole different story. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. We often focus on memory loss when thinking about dementia, but what if I told you that the way your loved one moves could sometimes be all you need? It's time to look beyond forgetfulness and discover the physical signs that set different types of dementia apart. When it comes to dementia, physical symptoms can be a goldmine of information. Think about it. Have you noticed changes in how your loved one walks or moves? These could be important clues to the specific type of dementia they're experiencing. Let's break it down. In Alzheimer's disease, physical symptoms might not jump out at you right away. But as time goes on, you might notice your loved one having trouble with balance or coordination. They might start to walk a bit differently or seem more prone to falling. These changes often creep in slowly, so it's important to pay attention over time. Now, let's talk about Lewy body dementia. This type can really throw you for a loop because it often looks a lot like Parkinson's disease. You might see your loved one start to shuffle when they walk, or their movements might become stiff and rigid. They might even develop a tremor. These symptoms can be pretty dramatic and often show up earlier than in other types of dementia. Vascular dementia has its own unique set of physical signs. You might notice weakness on one side of your loved one's body, almost like they've had a small stroke. Their walking pattern might change, or they might struggle with coordination. These symptoms can sometimes come on suddenly, which is different from the gradual changes we see in Alzheimer's. So, how can you use this information? Start by paying close attention to how your loved one moves. Watch their walking pattern, their posture, and how they coordinate their movements. These observations can be incredibly valuable when you're talking to doctors about your loved one's condition. Research have shown that these physical symptoms aren't just random. They're actually closely tied to cognitive decline, especially in Lewy body and vascular dementia. That means by noticing these physical changes, you might catch important shifts in your loved one's condition before they show up in other ways. Remember, you're not just looking for big, obvious changes. Even minor differences in how your loved one moves can be important clues. By keeping an eye out for these physical signs, you're arming yourself with valuable information that can help ensure your loved one gets the right diagnosis and care. However, It's not just about what you see. A person's behavior can tell us just as much about their condition as their physical symptoms. If you are not already a subscriber of this channel, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and share this video to whom might benefit best. We've talked about how dementia affects the body, but what about the mind and personality? Behavioral changes in dementia can be shocking, heartbreaking, and sometimes even dangerous. These changes aren't random, they're powerful clues that can help us identify the specific type of dementia we're dealing with. Imagine waking up one day to find your loved one's personality completely changed. These dramatic shifts aren't just upsetting, they're important indicators of what's really going on in their brain. Let's break this down. In frontotemporal dementia, you might see some pretty wild behavior changes. Your loved one might start acting impulsively, saying inappropriate things in public, or even engaging in risky behaviors. It's like their social filter has completely disappeared. This is very different from Alzheimer's, where you're more likely to see confusion, anxiety, and gradual withdrawal from social situations. Now, let's talk about Lewy body dementia. If you're caring for someone with this type, expect an emotional swings. One day, your loved one might be perfectly lucid and behaving normally. The next, they could be experiencing vivid hallucinations or extreme confusion. These rapid swings can be incredibly stressful for both the person with dementia and their caregiver. Other behavioral changes you might encounter include paranoia, aggression, or drastic shifts in sleep patterns. Each of these can provide valuable insights into the specific type of dementia at play. So, how can understanding these behavioral patterns help you? Well, it's all about communication. When you know what type of dementia you're dealing with, you can adapt your approach. For example, if you suspect frontotemporal dementia, you might need to be more direct in your communication and set clear boundaries. With Lewy body dementia, you'll want to be prepared for those rapid mood swings and have strategies in place to handle them. By identifying the correct type of dementia, you can unlock more effective ways to connect with your loved one. You'll be better equipped to respond to their needs, manage challenging behaviors, and maintain a positive relationship. It's like having a key to understanding your loved one's actions and emotions. But just when you think you've got it all figured out, dementia has a way of throwing another curveball your way. Let's explore the next piece of this complex puzzle. Let's talk about cognitive fluctuations in dementia. These can be really confusing for caregivers. Imagine your loved one is sharp one day, solving puzzles and remembering childhood stories, but the next day they can't recall what they had for breakfast. It's frustrating, but these ups and downs are actually important clues about the type of dementia we're dealing with. In Lewy body dementia, these fluctuations are very noticeable. Your loved one might be alert and oriented one day, then severely confused with hallucinations the next. It's like their brain is switching on and off. Doctors often use this pattern as a key indicator for diagnosis. Vascular dementia has a different pattern. Instead of daily changes, you might see a stepwise decline. Your loved one might seem stable for a while, then suddenly experience a drop in their abilities, often after a small stroke or vascular event. It's like their cognitive abilities are going down a staircase. These fluctuations can make diagnosis tricky. They can mask or mimic different types of dementia. That's why tracking these changes over time is so important. A daily journal noting your loved one's cognitive state, alertness, communication ability, and unusual behaviors can be incredibly helpful. Over time, you'll start to see patterns that can aid in getting an accurate diagnosis. Now, let's talk about mixed dementia. It's when someone has more than one type of dementia at the same time, usually Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. It's often overlooked because the symptoms can overlap and fluctuate, making it hard to identify. Studies show it's more common than we once thought, especially in older adults. But because it's hard to diagnose, many people with mixed dementia don't get the comprehensive care they need. By paying attention to all these clues, memory patterns, physical symptoms, behavioral changes, and cognitive fluctuations, we can get a clearer picture of what's happening in our loved one's brain. Understanding the type of dementia your loved one has can truly improve their quality of life and reduce your stress as a caregiver. With this knowledge, you can customize your care approach, leading to more effective treatments, better communication, and a safer environment. Your observations are incredibly valuable to healthcare professionals. Don't hesitate to seek expert help from organizations like the Alzheimer's Association or local dementia care programs. They offer resources and support tailored to your specific situation. Now, it's time to take action. Start observing patterns, keeping notes, and sharing what you see with doctors. This can make a real difference in your loved one's care. By turning confusion into understanding, you're taking the first step towards providing better support. Your loved one needs you, and now you're better prepared to help them through this challenging journey.